The title of this hearing is Financially Rewarding Terrorism in the West Bank. And as everyone here knows, last week a 13-year-old Israeli-American girl was stabbed to death by a Palestinian terrorist while she slept in her bed. Sadly, Hallel Ariel's murder is only the latest attack in Israel, because since October there have been 250 instances of Israelis being chased down, shot, or stabbed. 40 have died, including former U.S. Army officer Taylor Force, who was stabbed in March along an oceanfront boardwalk. While this spree of attacks continues, international diplomats continue to meet for a probable push at the United Nations this fall to impose the parameters of peace on Israel and the Palestinian Authority. But what on earth suggests that Israel has a willing partner in peace at this time? Last fall, this committee held a hearing to expose the Palestinian Authority's complicity in inciting violence. Israel is contending with a deep-seated hatred nurtured by Palestinian leaders over many years, nurtured in mosques, in schools, in newspapers, nurtured on television, on radio. As one witness told the committee, incitement is the term we usually use, but hatred is what we mean, teaching generations of Palestinian children to hate Jews by demonizing and dehumanizing them. So take the funeral for the killer of American Taylor Force, former West Point graduate, U.S. Army officer, Vanderbilt student. Official PA-TV glorified the terrorist, calling him a martyr 11 times in the broadcast I watched. A reporter explained that his funeral was a large national wedding benefiting of martyrs. But Palestinians are lured to terrorism with more than just words. Since 2003, it has been Palestinian law to reward Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails with a monthly paycheck. Legislation which creates jihad. This jihad legislation, under this act, the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian Liberation Organization use a so-called Martyrs Fund to pay the families of Palestinian prisoners and suicide bombers. One prominent Palestinian says that these inducements have become sacred in Palestinian politics. You know, as a member of one concerned family here today reminded me, these terrorists are not, in fact, lone rangers. They're not lone wolves acting from their independent hatred. Instead, these terrorists are the product of the programming done by the PA's perverted culture that glorifies the willingness to die or to spend time in prison in pursuit of killing or maiming Israelis. The PA programmed this hate. These financial rewards are the main way they accomplish this. And perversely, the PA uses a sliding scale. The more the mayhem, the longer the jail sentence, then the greater the financial reward. The highest payments go to those serving life sentences, to those who prove most brutal, and as we will hear today, the PA allots $140 million of its budget for this purpose. The monthly salary ranges from $364 a month for 3 years imprisonment to over $3,000 a month for 30 years or more, and whoever hits the bar, whoever was imprisoned for 5 years or more, and we know what kind of attack would create that, that individual is entitled to permanent employment in what? In the PA institution itself. Again, for those who wage the most brutal attacks, if a Palestinian state was established, it's hard to see how this pay-to-slay policy wouldn't put them on the state sponsor of terrorism list today. With about 1/3 of the Palestinian Authority's budget financed through foreign aid, the U.S. and our European allies can and must help stop the bloodshed. So far, the international community has failed to effectively use its leverage. European donors admit they provide funding in a way that is impossible to track. They have nothing in their laws like the U.S. requirement, which the Israeli government is now starting to embrace, that funding to the PA be cut by the amount the PA pays out for acts of terrorism. This must change, and if the PA's irresponsible behavior continues, the whole premise for funding the PA needs to be reconsidered. The U.S. needs to do better at bringing the parties together while holding the parties responsible for their actions. This has traditionally been our role. Unfortunately, in recent years, the Obama administration has been hesitant to hold the PA accountable, yet has consistently pressured Israel. It's no wonder the Palestinian Authority believes they can go straight to the United Nations this fall, bypassing Israel and bypassing bilateral negotiations. Indeed, the Obama administration has pointedly not ruled out allowing the UN Security Council to dictate the terms of peace negotiations. The United States should make it abundantly clear that we oppose such actions which are not based on direct negotiations between the parties, and will use our veto and keep divisive, counterproductive resolutions from passing. We have to face reality if we're going to move peace forward, and we have to be honest about each actor's readiness to make peace. The sad truth is the Palestinian Authority has not prepared its citizens for peace with Israel. Quite the opposite. And tragically, there will be no peace until that changes. And I now turn to the ranking member for any opening comments Mr. Elliot Engel of New York may have.